All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews, and we are back with another Essential Film Series movie. And today, I'm talking about a movie that if I could give you guys a guarantee that you'd get your money back if you didn't like it, I would give it to you. Because this is 2004's Warner Brothers movie with starring Val Kilmer and written and directed by David Mamet, called Spartan. Another movie that, even though it's from Warner Brothers, even though it's got Val Kilmer and a whole bunch of other people, and it's written and directed by David Mamet, who did Glengarry Glen Ross and a whole bunch of other stuff, this movie is one of those that flies under the radar as well. And it is fantastic. Aside from a couple of things that it falls short near the end, it is one of the best movies of that year. It's one of the best Val Kilmer movies. It's something different from David Mamet, who doesn't usually have, kind of thriller-based action stuff. Like, he's a really good writer, but this is something that kind of unique in his repertoire. And I sat here, because I haven't seen it in probably about 10 years, and I sat here with like this big smile on my face pretty much throughout the whole movie because I was enjoying myself so much. And then I realized I bought it on Amazon, and I realized I owned this movie. So I started digging through my boxes trying to find it. Thankfully, I'm kind of sad that I didn't find it because it would have been worth spending the money just to that made me realize to go look for it. I'm going to try to give this mostly not a spoiler review. Because I'll get to spoilers a little bit later because I don't want to ruin anything. So this is kind of like a military thriller. There's a little bit of action, but it's not like car chase action. It's more like pretty intense situations that Val Kilmer gets into in this movie. He plays a black ops officer who trains, right now, at the beginning of this movie, he's training other officers in something that he's good at. And what ends up happening is the president's daughter gets kidnapped. And you find out he's one of those guys that will just go do anything to get the job done. And when I say anything, I mean anything. And in front of other people. He is known by other people to get shit done. This movie also stars, it's got Val Kilmer. It's got Kristen Bell. It's got Derek Luke. It's got Ed O'Neill. It's got Clark Gregg. It's got William H. Macy. There's other people in this that I'm missing. David Paymer. Goodness. There's more than that too. It's got a couple of people. One guy from who played Jacob on Lost. It's got a bunch of recognizable actors that you'd like. The writing is top freaking notch David Mamet. It's not Glengarry Glen Ross writing, but it's still pretty good. Val Kilmer is giving another phenomenal performance, as usual, as this guy who is uncompromising in his duties and will go and do whatever it takes to get the job done. Now, without spoiling anything, that's pretty much it. He gets this mission to go track down the president's daughter. And in the middle of all this, some real shady shit starts to happen, and he has to do some things that he didn't expect to do to get the job done. And it's so freaking great. It is so shocking that this movie isn't known by a lot of people. I don't know anybody that talks about this movie. I don't know anybody that has seen this movie but me. And I know that's not true. Just like The Salton Sea, I know that there are hardcore movie lovers out there that have seen this movie. And so when I get to spoilers, that'll be for them. And that's pretty much all I really want to say about it is it's a fantastic, military, political, action type thriller with incredible writing that most of movies of this caliber do not have. It's got twists and turns that are just great. And I don't think I really need to sell it anymore. I know that that's not giving much away, but again, like I said, if I could pay you to see this, I would. If I could guarantee you that if you didn't like it, I'd give you your money back, I would. That's how confident I am in this. And there might be somebody that watches this afternoon and goes, well, you're a fucking liar, man. This movie sucked. If you don't like this movie, even if you don't like all of it, if you go, man, I love that movie up until blank or whatever, this is way better than most political military thrillers. There's not a lot of military thrillers out there, and there's not a lot of good political thrillers out there. A lot of them are really cliched bullshit. And that's one of the only things that kind of holds this movie back from being perfect, is there's a little bit of a cliche thing near the end, that, and a couple of lines that go, okay, yeah, that's in every political movie about, trying to get leverage on a politician kind of thing. Other than that, it is just top notch. So that's it for that part of the review. I mean, go see it. I rented it actually for $2.99 on Amazon. I don't know how it's not on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime for free at this point, because it's from 2004, so this is a 14-year-old movie. It doesn't seem like it. And so now, if you've made it to this point, this is spoilers, some spoilers in here. If for anybody that has seen this movie, to talk about. So Val Kilmer in this is just a complete badass, whether it's when he's in the interrogation scene faking being a Secret Service agent to get this one guy to talk, the way he gets this kid, he poses as a police officer to get the boyfriend of Kristen Bell's character to give up what he knows, to how he intimidates a madam in this one scene in front of a whole bunch of other government officers, and has no care in the world that there's anybody else in the room when he threatens her life. You got Derek Luke is really great in this as this guy who kind of wants to learn and be like him, and Val Kilmer having this kind of mentorship, but keeping this kid kind of at arm's length, but also keeping him close. He's one of those guys who you can tell who he likes and cares about the people that he works with, but he's kind of got to keep them a little bit off from being too close to him, just to keep them, from getting killed and getting soft and everything else, because he doesn't like to be soft, so he doesn't want anybody else to be soft either. Because what they got to do is, if you get too personal and you let things get in the way, you could flinch and not do the job right. Some people in here that have smaller roles like Clark Gregg and Ed O'Neill and William H. Macy. Clark Gregg is really good in this for what little bit he is in this. It reminds me of a lot of Agent Coulson without all the Marvel stuff. Ed O'Neill and William H. Macy, to a lesser degree, are pretty good. William H. Macy is kind of cliche government agent guy, but it's not his fault. He doesn't have much. He doesn't get a lot in this, but what he does is a little cliche, and that's one of the parts that just kind of holds this movie back just a little bit from being fantastically perfect to me, perfect political thriller. The stuff that he's willing to do, when they need to know where she is, and there's this guy who's from Dubai that's being transferred with a guy from Death Row to this other place who made a phone call, and they think he knows where she is. And so Val Kilmer sets up this thing where he pretends to be robbing a convenience store on the side of the road at the same time the cop that has the two prisoners in the back of his car. And they set this whole thing up where you think, the cops think Kilmer's a freaking bad guy, and he ends up taking the two prisoners on the run just to get the information out of them. And what he's willing to do, he just blows away the one guy from Death Row, and he kills him, because why not? He's from Death Row. And that's how far he's willing to go to just kill this guy. I mean, is he somebody who was going to die anyway? That's kind of how he thinks of it. That's how he kind of, it's perfect setup. And it is a little too perfect, but it's still just crazy cool. And how he gets this guy to talk. And poor Derek Luke in this movie, though. He is trying, he's a really good actor. And he is just a bullet sponge in this movie. And unfortunately, he ends up like, not only does he get shot and winged in a pretty bad situation by the prisoner, but then later when they pretend that she's died, the government has decided, there's this whole setup that Val Kilmer doesn't understand and we as the audience don't understand, is that there's this mission they've got and they decide that they supposedly find her body washed up on shore with this guy that she might have been having an affair with. So they're trying to cover up her death. Like they're trying to cover up her being taken by just saying she's dead, figuring that since she's been taken to Dubai, she's dead anyway. So let's just speed this process along because the president's going into an election year. So there's that cliche that I'm talking about that just kind of holds this movie back, where it's an election year and the daughter knows some stuff about her daddy that could ruin, his presidential chances. And so at this point, Val Kilmer has done his job and he doesn't want to go. But then Derek Luke convinces him that she's not dead. And when he was trying to tell him that he saw the sign, Kilmer didn't know what he was talking about. He thought he was just kind of like, after he'd been shot, he was just like, yeah, man, cool. But then he realizes that what they saw was this little symbol that she draws on everything to kind of like know that was her there at this place they thought she was at. And turned out she wasn't, but she was. Okay, so there's a lot of twists and turns. But when they go to find her at this place or to check the place out, Derek Luke is killed by a sniper from a fishing boat like offshore, and they shoot a scarecrow that they think is Val Kilmer, and so he has to sneak into Dubai to find the girl on his own. And then that whole situation happens, and how he treats her when he gets her is so matter of fact, because he has to help save her from herself, because people in these stressful situations can get themselves like fucking caught just by being, hysterical. And the way he handles her is rough, but like doing the thing that you have to do. So this girl is scared and screaming. Just telling her to shut up isn't going to stop her. So I mean, he punches her right in the gut. It's extreme, but it's like, do you want to die? I have to do what I have to do to keep her from getting caught. And if that means punching her in the stomach to knock the wind out of her, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, the ending of this is a bit like, it's a little dark, but a little like cleaned up. And at the end, Val Kilmer walks away from all this, kind of not able to come home because the government was, behind all this. And so he doesn't really seem to have a place to go. They think he died. Well, there's no body, but he's out there. And it's a real shame that this wasn't like not a franchise, I guess a franchise. Like that there weren't sequels to this. Because his character, I could easily see being in a series of movies about this guy. And I think if they could have done it right, it would have been great. But apparently, because nobody saw this movie, there would be no chance of it ever going on. Because to me, this guy is about as interesting as Jason Bourne, way more interesting than Liam Neeson from Taken. I'm just kind of trying to think of guys that are badass in military thrillers, and that's about the only few I can think of. One's got to do with kidnapping, and he's a badass. Jason Bourne's a thriller badass, and Val Kilmer, he's a badass in this, but nobody's seen this movie. But seeing as how it's not going to be another movie, it is pretty much a perfect little movie that, again, nobody has seen. So that's it for this. I really recommend seeing it. You can rent it on Amazon for $2.99. I can't, like I said, I can't recommend this movie enough. If you like Val Kilmer and you've not seen this movie, get on that, man. Okay, so that's it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. See this movie. I'm just going to keep saying it. So this is Rob from Spartan Review saying, see this movie, Spartan, Val Kilmer, put it in your brain. We'll be doing more of the Val Kilmers for the rest of the week as well. We just posted some more Expanse. We got South Park coming tomorrow. We got Walking Dead on Sunday. So keep an eye out for all sorts of stuff coming on the channel in the next few days. So this is Rob saying see you later and have a good night. Say Spartan.